Imagine this. You're stuck in a conversation with somebody that you really like. You want to leave a good impression on this person, but you simply run out of things to say. It feels like you've backed yourself into a corner. You start sweating and you have a frog in your throat. You try to utter out something, but you simply cannot get it out. You, my friend, are going to be saved by this video. The story goes like this. I was about halfway through high school. I had really no experience. I didn't talk to many people in this one specific class that I had. This class was a particularly hard class. I didn't really enjoy it because all of the work took so long and it took so much brain power. I would sit in this class and I had a lot of people in there that I just didn't like. People I didn't get along with, so I barely really even talked. But there was this one girl who sat a few rows over from me. It was this blonde girl that everybody thought was the most attractive girl in her grade by far, which means that in my class, she was easily the most attractive. All the guys in my class would stare at her when I never even said anything to her at all. I never even thought I would. And the most surprising part about it is the fact that I didn't even have to say anything. She actually came up to me. This self-conscious kid who had just gotten a perm, and I had a shaved sides on my head, so it was like a perm, but it didn't look good at all, and I had no style. I didn't know how to dress, I was kind of annoying, and I had just started posting on TikTok, which meant that I was very unlikable, not attractive, I was short, I lacked confidence, you get the whole point. So why did the most attractive girl decide to talk to me and not any of the other guys in my class? I mean, there was these popular guys, these guys that everybody talked about in my grade, but she chose me for whatever reason. And to be honest with you, I can't tell you why. I honestly have no idea. I was sitting in class one day and there was one specifically hard paper that we had to do, but this paper was very important because it was going to be tacked on to the end of our test grade. So after our test that we were going to take that week was taken, that paper, whatever you got on it, was going to be attributed as extra credit to that test. Hopefully that doesn't sound too confusing, but the whole point is that this was a very important paper, and if you're somebody who cares about your grades at all, you know that the test grade is the most important by far. So I wasn't too in shock that she came up to me, and it actually went pretty well. I had never really talked to girls my entire life. I've always been scared of doing so. And honestly, in the past, I would always crumble under pressure. Anytime any girl talked to me, I would get really nervous. I would kind of swell up like the frog in the throat type of thing that I was talking about earlier. But for some reason with this girl, that just wasn't the case. She didn't even seem to add any pressure to the things that we were talking about. It was almost like I was talking to a childhood friend rather than one of the most attractive girls I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyway, we get to working on this paper, and I don't know what got into me that day, but I was making so many jokes because I just didn't care. I felt like completely free out of my head because I guess I felt so low of myself at that time that I thought there's no way that this girl would have anything to do with me, right? That this girl was, it makes no sense because usually when an attractive girl would talk to a guy, they would freeze up. And just like I did, anytime any normal girl, I wouldn't say a really attractive girl, but anytime a normal girl would talk to me, I would freeze up. But my confidence was so low and I was so self-conscious that when a girl this attractive talked to me, I saw it as so much of a joke. It was funny, and because it was funny, I just didn't care. There was no pressure because I knew I had zero chance. At least I didn't think I had a chance until later in the story, which we're gonna get to, so hold on. So we're doing really good on these papers, and this girl seemed to really like me, especially after talking, and I was like, just very surprised. Like I said, I didn't expect anything of it. I thought it was pretty much a joke until she asked for my number. Now, this is not the main move that she ever made on me. This is actually one of the smaller things that she did. So once again, I didn't see this as anything too crazy. Maybe she just wanted help on some of her work. So she asked me for her number. Obviously, I gave it to her, and then we started texting. Now, when I got home, she sent me some text along the lines of, "Thank you for helping me on that paper today. I really liked talking to you," or something like that. I didn't think anything of the words that she put in the text, but she put the little, you know, like the little semicolon smiley face thing. Now, this just sounds so corny saying it out loud, but like that, for some reason, made my heart drop, and I was like, that means something. I just don't know what it means yet. I'm telling you right now, if she had just sent me a normal text with regular words and no emojis or any sort of weird symbols, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. Once again, I was so self-conscious, I would have never thought something like that to happen. But she sent a smiley face. Why would she do that? It just didn't make sense to me. I feel like there was something more to that message that she was trying to tell me that I didn't know. So after that, I just go back to my normal setting. You know, I'm just doing my normal school things. I don't really talk to her much except for when I see her at the class sometimes. In a way, everything sort of went back to normal, but we still did talk every time we went to class. And because of that little symbol that I mentioned, every time we talked, I felt some sort of like tension. I guess the tension was me thinking there's a chance, like a 1% chance out of 100 that this girl might like me. And to me, especially at the time, that was kind of fun. I mean, I had my other things to focus on. I was actually posting on TikTok at this point, and social media was like my main hobby. I also played soccer at the time, so I would get home from school, go to soccer practice, do whatever, and I would talk to her. So days go by of that class until eventually she actually asked me something that I would have never thought. We're sitting in class doing the work, and we had another one of these sort of hard papers that we knew we had to work on. And it got to a point where we got so close at this point that anytime there was any assignment, we would just look over at each other and do it together every single time. There was no question, no hesitation, anytime there was any sort of group work at all. You know, when the teacher asks you to pick a partner, sometimes in those scenarios, I would get kind of nervous, like, oh no, am I going to get a partner? Are there any of my friends in this class? In this class, I actually didn't really like anybody, but it got to a point with her where literally every time that happened, we knew we were going to be each other's partner. Like, we didn't have to think about it. This time in specific, I remember looking over at her as soon as the teacher said it's partner work, and she just smiled because we knew. So we sit down, we start doing our work, and this was like that work. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes in school, you can actually enjoy it. It's not something where you feel like forced to do it. It's like something where you're actually like enjoying the learning process. Now, maybe I'm delusional and I only thought that because I liked doing it with this girl, but we actually seem to really enjoy learning. And we finish this whole paper. We do it together. We're thinking we're about to get the best grade added onto our test. We're so excited for it. So we turn it in. I'm just glad because I got to working with this girl that I really liked, and we're getting good grades on everything. And as soon as we turn this in, I'm just thinking like life is great. Everything is great. I'm doing kind of good on social media. I love playing soccer, all this. And then we get the grade back, and it was horrible. So bad that I thought we were going to fail the test. Actually, she's the one who brought that to my attention because these papers, the really particularly hard ones, I guess were these like study guide type things where you had to do them, and all of the information on the papers was directly stuff that was going to probably be on the test. So we turned it in, and when we got a bad grade, we knew that we were screwed. Actually, she knew, like I said. So she said this one thing, and this is where it all took a turn. A turn for the better, but maybe it was for the worse. I guess we'll have to find out in a second. But she asked me if I wanted to come with her to get tutored. I was like, I've never been tutored before. I don't even know what this is. I have no idea what this is, but because it's with her, I was like, of course I'm going to do that. So now I'm sitting here thinking, like, what is about to happen between me and this girl? I've seen a lot of stories like this pan out in some crazy ways. I was just like, what? I don't know. I don't even know what was going through my head, but I was just very excited, I guess, but also nervous. And this is the first time that I kind of broke character because there were these signs, like when she sent me this text with like that little smiley face or whatever. And I took that as a sign of like, maybe this girl likes me. She texted me all this, like maybe that's a sign. But when she asked me to take me to tutoring, that's when I thought this might be more than just that. And everything broke. This is where it all starts going downhill. This is where literally everything started getting messed up, and I realized that I actually don't know how to talk to this girl. She tells me, and I remember very specifically, she said to be ready by 6 a.m. And I was thinking in my head, be ready for what? What's about to happen? What is she asking me to do? And she was going to pick me up, and we were going to go one-on-one to learn about this test that we were going to take. And my heart, when I tell you my heart sank, it was on the ground. So I'm sitting there the night before, I can't sleep, I'm tossing and turning in my bed, and I'm genuinely restless. I cannot close my eyes. I'm just thinking about everything that might go wrong. And this is a lot to do with why I actually give these self-improvement tips that I give now, because I remember that night I binged everything that a guy should do to be appealing to a girl. I remember running into the bathroom frantically. I looked in the mirror, straight in my face. I'm trying to figure out what to do to look good. Do I cut my own hair? Like, what do I do to fix myself? Something has to be wrong. Like, my confidence is not here. What happened to the confidence that I had when I was talking to this girl earlier when we were doing our work? I don't know. It's gone. But I have to muster up the courage to at least say yes to this. So I text her, I say yes, I'm gonna do it. I set an alarm for like 5:55 a.m., which if you're anything like me, like waking up that early is a pain. It is so bad, and I knew it was about to suck. So I sit there, I lay in my bed, and I'm just trying to go to sleep. I'm watching these videos on looking better. It's not doing anything. It's just making me more stressed out until eventually I fall asleep. Finally, I guess let these problems go away, and I felt like I had to deal with them tomorrow. So that's what I did. Flash forward, it's the next morning. I wake up, my eyes hurt. They are heavy because I'm so tired and I'm just ready to go to sleep. I can't even remember why my alarm was going off. It's one of those moments where when you first wake up, I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this, but it literally didn't feel real. It's like, what is actually going on inside my head? I remember my stepmom coming in my room saying some words. The words didn't even sound like English because I was that tired, and I'm telling her I'm getting up to go with this girl, and she was asking questions because she had no idea about it, but I was like, screw this, I'm just going anyway. So I grab my backpack, I get all my stuff, I go and I get in her car, and we sit down, and this is where it gets bad. This is the part that I don't think I did too well, and this is the part that I at least learned from. We're sitting there and I'm frozen. I feel like there's literally something stuck in my throat, like a rock stuck in my throat. I can't speak. I try to utter out words and I just can't. I literally have nothing to say. She's asking me questions, I'm giving vague responses, I'm barely talking, and we drive to school, and it was one of the most awkward drives I've ever had in my entire life. I'm sitting there, trying to say things, trying to ask her about music and stuff like this, and you know it's bad because the topic is switching every couple of seconds. It's not something where I ask her something and it takes a while to respond. It was something where we literally were starting a new thing every like 5 seconds. I'd be like, what do you like for music? And she would say this. And I'd be like, what do you do for this? What do you do for that? She was asking questions back. I think she felt the awkward tension there too, but we both tried to ignore it until we got to that class. This is where it gets even crazier because we didn't just get to that class. She's driving, we're trying to do this conversation, whatever's happening, until eventually we pull into this empty parking lot right near my school. And my mind is going all over the place. I'm thinking, what is this girl trying to do right now before school on a random Tuesday morning? Like, I don't even know what day it was, but besides the point, what is this girl doing? She pulls over under this like tree. It's like a hidden parking lot. I don't even know how she found this, but apparently this is the parking lot that a ton of people in my high school went to for various reasons that I probably should have mentioned. And we're sitting there in that parking lot. And I'm thinking, what is this girl doing? So we stop. She turns off all the music and we're just sitting there. She turns off the car. She takes out her keys and then she just leans back. And I'm thinking, is this girl trying to play with my brain? What is happening right now? And then she reaches over. This is the part that I still think about to this day. She reaches over like she's about to put her hand on me. I'm not going to say where, but she's about to put her hand on me. And she reaches right past me and grabs a water bottle. And I'm just thinking, what is this girl like? This girl is trying to play with my emotions or something. I don't know what this girl is doing. I know that she knows how attractive she is. I know that she knows that. And I'm at the point now where I'm just feeling weird. My face is red. I'm just confused at this point. She grabs it, drinks it, says a few things. I can't even remember the words she said because I was so dazed out at this point. And she's just sitting there and then she starts staring at me. This stare seemed to have lasted a lifetime. She's just sitting there staring at me. I don't know what to do. I'm literally like I just want to get into class at this point because I'm just so nervous, right? It's not that I didn't like this girl. I was just so nervous. Did she want me to make a move? I have no idea, but she's staring at me until eventually she just smiles, grabs her keys, turns it in the ignition, and then drives straight to the school parking lot. Like nothing happened. Just acted like nothing happened. We step on the school grounds and it literally felt like the second that we stepped out of that car, everything went back to normal. Everything went back to normal. We walked to the class and then it felt like just a normal day at class. We're sitting there. It's just us and the teacher and she's just teaching us. Again, everything was normal. Everything was fine. But I had felt ashamed. It felt like I had sold my chance with one of the most attractive girls that I've ever seen in my life at this point because I didn't know what to say. I did not know what to say. For what reason? Like, why? Because I wasn't confident? I don't know. What I do know is where I went wrong. And the reason that I've been successful with any girl I've talked to ever since then is because of the things that I want to teach you. It's actually the point of this little sheet thing that I made right here. My handwriting is bad and the pen that I was using ran out of ink, so don't judge me too hard. Actually, this should make it a little easier. Pause the video, screenshot this, do whatever you need to do because this is the formula that will teach you how to speak. See, where I went wrong is because I was only in my own head. I wasn't trying to get in her head, and that sounds kind of weird, but what does it mean? Well, when you really want to be good at talking to somebody, you actually have to care and you actually have to listen to what they say. So to speak wisely and say things that actually make sense and make a conversation last without ever running out of anything to say, you have to simply become a good listener. And on the list I have here, you're probably wondering, what does it mean? Well, there's certain questions to ask that will make you a better listener. The questions that you ask should actually come off as curiosity, not just trying to ask another question. Challenge the person you're talking to. Don't agree with everything that they say. And obviously, ask questions that aren't obvious or weird. So many people, including me, will say something that might come off as weird. It's not that you're a weird person. It's that you're just trying to spark conversation, but it doesn't work. Now, people say that there's never a dumb question to ask, when I actually completely disagree. A dumb question to ask is a question that you don't actually care about. Something that you just say just to say it. So when you remember all the way back to the beginning of the story, the reason that I didn't care about this girl is because it was not serious. So when you're talking to people, anybody, it doesn't matter. If you don't want to run out of things to say, don't take it so serious. I actually challenge you to say something so random, so out of the blue, that the person you're talking to gets confused at what that even means. When you have small talk, regular talks where it just goes back and forth like every day, how was your day, all this, right? That's one thing. It doesn't do anything. You can actually do that subconsciously without ever breaking your continuous loop. But when you say something that actually is authentic and is the true version of you, that's random, that sparks curiosity, that does all the things that I mentioned previously, it's going to interrupt the flow. And the person that you're talking to is really going to have to think. If you make them think, that's the whole goal here. And as soon as you make them think, what that's going to do is force them to listen. Not only is it going to force them to come up with a unique response, but they have to listen to you because they've broken free out of this sort of flow state that everybody gets into, where you're just trying to go about your own day and you're only caring about yourself, being selfish. See, if you never want to run out of things to say, you have to be selfless, not selfish. Tip number 2 is going to be talking about the person that you're talking to twice as much as you talk about yourself. Whenever you point the conversation back to yourself, this comes off as self-centered. And think, once again, humans, how are we? We are selfish. At heart, that's just how people are in general. And what you can do is talk about them. And when you talk about them at a literal ratio, like you literally need to do the math. I literally have it right here. You can barely see it because the reflection's so hard. 2-to-1 ratio. Keep that in your head. Say things at a 2-to-1 ratio. Talk about them twice as much as you talk about yourself. You will come off as humble, caring, you'll be a good listener, and you will have all the traits that I just mentioned. And for the most important part of it all, if I were to continuously talk throughout this video without ever pausing and letting you take in the things that I'm saying, you would actually just listen a lot less. So silence is actually good. It's a time for you to process what you're thinking, process what you're going to say next, and actually enjoy it. Because sometimes you can actually just enjoy somebody's company without talking the entire time. You, my friend, should pat yourself on the back because you learned something new today. If nothing else, you watched a video that did not rot your brain. And if you want to learn more, watch this video right here.